YouTube and agents. I'm going to take a detour here and stray from my usual formula and just talk about my overall thoughts on the state of the game. I have specific thoughts on the game, and I may address those in a later video. So let's do it. Okay, Tom Clancy's The Division. Probably one of the more unique games out there. The Division has always been more than just looting and shooting. There's a survival aspect, and not just keeping yourself from getting mowed down by NPCs. There's a trust and betrayal element, such as in the Dark Zone, or through the storyline itself. And the lure of rebuilding a world that's fallen apart, from the winter streets of New York in the first game to the chaotic summer ruins of DC in the Division 2, this franchise has carved out a specific niche, a hybrid of tactical realism, looter-shooter depth, and cinematic world building. So, here we are, years later, and the questions which need asking are: where is the Division now? What still works? What's broken? And more importantly, why do people still play the game? The core gameplay, it's still pretty tight. The third-person cover system is mostly smooth and grounded, although I've seen some weird things during combat. Almost every firefight, whether you're street sweeping, running missions, clearing control points, etc., has a tactical feel to it, and the gear loop, while grind-heavy, has always appealed to min-maxers that love squeezing out just a few more percentage points of critical damage. But let's be real, repetition creeps in fast. The enemy AI? Some say it's often too predictable, and there's not a real argument from me here. However, 99% of those of you watching are veterans and have pretty much figured out where the spawn points are. Mission design? Occasionally brilliant, but mostly rinse and repeat. So the manhunts before Seasons 2.0 released, it was cool to go to the same areas but run them backwards, such as the Capitol building. What the Division gets right is the feeling of scraping by with your squad, syncing everyone's skills, and tactically pushing through whatever mission or control point or what have you you're trying to use as an objective. The objectives and obstacles are top-notch. Hell, even the weather is pretty awesome. I prefer street sweeping in dust storms and thunderstorms instead of the sunshine. For me, the storms make things a little bit more immersive. Yet, that same intensity loses steam when there isn't any fresh new challenge. Incursions, the raids, Woney, Countdown, and especially the Summit were great for the first few weeks, but then they all fell back into the repeated grinds. And again, I'm not talking about anything new, am I? Let's talk about the world, because this is where the Division has always punched above its weight class. From the snow-covered collapse of New York and the First Division to the unattended overgrowth and decay of DC in the Division 2, these aren't just maps. They're stories. Every block, every burned out bus, every silent street tells you what went wrong in the game. Again, making this game very unique and compared to other games, especially shooters. The echo scenes and hell, even having Manny or Kelso or Fei Lao, even Isaac and now Anna in your ear is still some of the most immersive narrative tools in gaming. Yet the world of the Division hasn't really evolved. There's static environments, lack of system changes, the world events that don't really ripple out in the game loop. It's beautiful, but it's frozen in time. That's not necessarily a hard criticism. I do understand that even though, as players, put in hours, days, weeks, months, and years into the game, the timeline of both games combined is what, less than 8 months? From a personal point of view, for me, it just looks odd sometimes seeing other players running around in full Santa outfits during December in real time while the game is still showing summer. Gear sets, recalibration, crafting UI. The Division 2 expanded on the original system, but it also overcomplicated them. Recalibration, optimization, crafting, expertise, modifiers, brand sets, exotics, it's bloody dense. And for hardcore players, that's great. But for new and returning players, it's a spreadsheet wrapped in a bullet sponge. It's massively overwhelming. Several of my clan members and I have discussed this at length. We love the variety and all the options on the menu, but when we get to brand new players to the franchise and returning players that haven't touched the game since Woney, they're often shell shocked seeing all the things that you have to do now. One of the things I believe is missing is meaningful decision making. Too many stats and not enough weight. Way too many builds and not enough reason to experiment. And that oftentimes leads to progression being less about mastering the world in the division and more about managing inventory overflow. Regarding experimentation, sure, anyone could fire up a YouTube video and find any content creator that posts 95% of their content with build recommendations. Well, hey, that's great and all, but to quote another content creator, I can only show you my way, not the right way, or your way, as the video suggested. I understand that the developers provided a slew of options to be tailored to anyone's gameplay, game skill, or game approach, but as I've stated before, my clan is more about casual average players. We have lives outside the game and don't have hours or days that we could dedicate to this game. This is where experimentation hits a wall. The Division's endgame has always had potential, but it was rarely fulfilled. Countdown and Summit were solid ideas. Manhunts tried to keep things fresh, but the seasonal model prior to 2.0 had become stale. Reruns of reruns. We weren't big fans of the new grind in Year 6 Season 2. I'm sorry. Season 2. Most of us didn't even finish the journey because, again, back to casual playing, we didn't have that kind of time. Now, Season 3 was a bit better, and we loved that initially we could use the firing range to get most of the journey completed, until several people opened their mouths about it and Ubisoft put the kibosh on it. The new content, it's really sparse, even has a sense of delay. No, I'm not referring to the Battle of Brooklyn. The scout missions, which replaced the old manhunts, good lord, week after week trying to find first Parnell and now Kelso. The manhunts were what, 4 weeks? And that seemed reasonable. People want reasons to return, not repeat the same old, same old. The community's still there. Not all of them are waiting by their keyboards and consoles, though. They want to hear news online and then come back, run the content, and then leave until new content is released. And sure, I get that. But at the same time, other live games with the same amount of personnel publish new and fresh things all the time. Massive and Ubisoft should really make attempts to find a balance of quality and quantity. But that requires Ubisoft to commit that this franchise is a priority. With Tencent now in the picture, maybe that will be the case, and only time will tell. Here's the thing. The Division still has a pulse. Not because of content, not because of updates, but because the core fantasy still works. You and your squad walking through a broken city, planning your attack, adapting to chaos, options of levels of the map, directives or not, so on and so forth. The atmosphere, the sound design, the world, that stuff sticks. There's a sense of place and purpose in the Division that no other shooter delivers. And for the veterans, this isn't just a looter shooter. It's a unique world with unique loadouts and builds. I played both PTSs for Heartland. I was excited to see a new Division game. The new mechanics were interesting, the new gear, library, and crafting was a more streamlined version and way more simplified than the one in the Division 2. The story was also pretty solid. It looked to me like the developers took everything that worked in crafting from the Division 1 and 2 and married them both together. After 2 PTSs, I thought we were going to see the official release really soon. And then it was canned. The mobile game Resurgence, it's a cool idea, but I don't play very many games on my phone or tablet. Right now I only play one game on my phone. For me, it's more about why put a looter shooter game on a tiny little screen? And don't get me started on the battery life of that device. Anyway, I digress. Everyone was disappointed that Heartland was canned. There's nothing else out there like The Division. I've read Tom Clancy books. If I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of the writing. It's a bit dry for me. So when games started coming out under the Tom Clancy name, it didn't pique my interest. I really don't care for Rainbow Six Siege. Wildlands was okay, Breakpoint wasn't my jam, and I am not into Splinter Cell. I was even dubious about The Division. A friend of mine introduced me to it on launch day. I took a chance, and I'm glad I did, even though The Division was bugged the hell out from the word go. But once all the issues were resolved, the game was actually awesome. As fate would have it, I was a Ubisoft employee when The Division 2 launched. It's kind of cool seeing your name in the credits. So I was there at launch playing and supporting the game for others. It's really the only Tom Clancy title I like, and I would very much like to see it grow. So where's The Division now? Well, it's still standing. Maybe limping a little, but it's still standing. And maybe, just maybe, the best is still possible if the developers listen and return to the reasons why people fell in love with the game in the first place. What still works? I feel this is up to the individual player. For me, the franchise as a whole exceeds my expectations. I just have little gripes about specific things. What's broken? There's a lot here that's quote-unquote broken. Sound artifacts, like all the NPCs are dead, but their weapon is still firing, or the fire sound effect is still going. Weird NPC movements that seem straight out of Olympic gold medalist instant replays. Random delta kicks. Hacking in the DZ, although the DZ is kind of empty now, so I haven't seen that in a while, but then again, if it's populated, it'll be populated with the hackers. The list is lengthy. And why do people still play the game? Well, initially, it's the enjoyment of what makes the Division, but that can't be its life support. So until there's more quality of life fixes, regular real maintenance, and new and improved content, we hope for the best, and we hope for the Division 3 sooner rather than later. Thanks for watching my video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click the notification bell. That really helps me with the algorithm. Please leave a comment. Tell me about your experiences in the game, what you hope to see, and things that you want to see addressed. Until then, this is Hannibal, signing off.